Oh, you thought it was about this? Guess what? Here's what they did today. And they did this blatantly, and now it's in your face. They do all of this stuff to shift your perception. And in order to get your behavior to change, once I shift your perception, then I change the C in this model. And the C is context. And context is the most important thing in the world. And nobody's talking about it. Probably everyone watching this or listening to this right now is going to get naked today. They'll get in a shower, they'll get in a bath, whatever it is. But almost everybody's going to get naked. We're probably not going to do it in the middle of an office building, like at work. Context dictates what behavior is permissible. So if you go back to I think it was 1957, there's this guy running a stage hypnosis, like comedy show, where they bring people up on stage and make them do silly stuff. And one of the guys that's up on stage, he's knocked out and he's doing all this crazy stuff. He's an off-duty police officer. So he has a concealed handgun. But one of the skits in this, or one of the bits that this comedian does, he tells the people that all of you are sheriffs and you can't leave the stage, but everybody in the audience right here is rowdy. They're making lots of noise. You need to tell them to keep it down. So this starts, and the hypnotist says, now they're not even listening to you. They're not respecting you. And then he says, you can't leave the stage, but one of them's pulling out a gun. And this off-duty police officer pulls out his service weapon and starts firing into the crowd.
This is a true story?
True story.
Really?
Yeah. But is he a monster? Of course not, because context dictated what he would do. So if I can change context to where what I want you to do is just an automatic thing, I can make you do anything. The real skill is just being able to shift perception and context. If you can just shift perception and context, you can radicalize someone on the internet and turn them into a shooter. You can radicalize somebody politically and make them excommunicate their entire family over a Thanksgiving. I'll give you an example from UK. In 1979, I think, there was a fire in Manchester in Woolworth's department store. Yeah. And it was during the daytime. Doors were open, and it turned out that most of the people that died were in the restaurant. And the restaurant was right by the door. So the fire inspector looked, and they were trying to figure this out, and a psychologist finally came along and said they died because they were waiting to pay their bill. Because no one gave them permission to kind of stand up and walk out. No one did it first. So they kind of just went along with the crowd. And in the context of a restaurant, you don't stand up and walk out until you've paid your bill. So the context can also lead us into something like that. So the perception of the situation, even though there's a fire, I'm locked in context of I'm sitting in a restaurant. And that's been tested time and time again, where people will sit in a smoke-filled room long enough to die just because nobody else is moving. So context matters.
So how does that pertain to being able to persuade people? For Debbie in Ohio, who's listening.
Yeah.
How does she work and think about context when she's in a sales meeting, speaking to her husband, her son, whoever it might be?
Yeah. So one of the best things that you can learn when it comes to being able to shift context is setting the frame of what every interaction is and being the one to openly say what the frame is as the conversation starts. Let's say you're talking to a kid and it's a parent talking to a kid. The kid thinks they're in trouble. That's the context they have. And I need to shift their perception of our situation before I can change their context. So we sit down, we start the conversation, and I'm like, I'm so glad that we could have this talk in a calm way that is focused on learning instead of punishment. A massively transformed perception and context. So I've changed what this means and the definition of what's allowed here. So context gives us the final P, which is permission. So if I change your perception of a conversation, and you can do that right away, and if I'm entering into a negotiation and we start the room with, I'm glad that we could all come here for this. And I know both of us want to find common ground as fast as possible. And I suggest that maybe we even start there. So I'm setting a frame right from the very beginning.
It's so surprising how few of us do that when we go into a conversation. I was just thinking back over the last sort of 10 days of my life in business meetings, very important business meetings in Los Angeles with new potential partners, and walking into the boardroom and sitting down and doing the like formalities of like, oh, hi, how's your weather? Like, how's the weather? Where'd you live? Oh, West, fine. And then a little bit of quiet, we introduce ourselves and nobody really sets the frame, or someone sets the frame, but it isn't you.
Yeah.
And actually, that meeting would have been much more productive if I had volunteered up a frame very early. And it was a frame in line with whatever I'm trying to get out of that meeting.
Yeah. And anytime you're setting a frame or just kind of setting the perception of what's going on, especially in business, start out by a negative first, because people bitch about stuff in business all the time, and then go to the positive. So you're doing kind of a contrasting statement. So like, let's say in the last meeting you had, if you said something like, I'm so glad we're meeting today, guys. There's so many people out there that just fall into these competitive mindsets. And it's really good to do business with people that are in a collaborative mindset instead of a competitive mindset.
With what you've said, the frame that I wish I'd said, based on all of the context, was I'd walked into that room wanting to get a deal done because I'm sick of fucking talking about it on emails.
Yeah.
And meetings. So I wish I'd walked in and said something, words to the effect of, I'm so glad we could meet in person to finally really make progress on this, because there's been so much talk about theoretical deals. And I feel like getting us together can get us much closer, much quicker to figuring out a real deal that we can work on. Words to that effect.
Yeah.
Because I think that would have started the conversation away from the theoretical.
Yeah.
If I just called it out. But unfortunately, I didn't say that. And we spent a lot of time just talking about theoretical stuff again.
Yeah. And you can do that with permission at the beginning with a permission phrase, and just say, hey, just so I understand, and I may be wrong here, but what I understand is the purpose of this meeting is for us to kind of compile all these Zooms that we've been on for months and months and finally get something done and put a bow on it, that we have some kind of finished product. Even if it's not perfect yet, we have something tangible. And that's permission. So you're like, I might be wrong about this, but of course they'll probably agree with that.
I think the same applies actually for romantic relationships. Thinking about having an argument with your partner, you can go in just emotion versus emotion if you don't take a minute to just define what we're trying to accomplish from this. And then when people drift because they do in emotional situations, you've got a frame to bring them back into that you pre-agreed on. You know, because when you get those emotions, they'll bring up something your mother did 4 years ago or something, and it just drifts away from the frame.
Yeah. And if you watch the media, especially the opinion side of the media, and they talk about a politician that they don't like, what do they start out with? This is going to scare you. In another piece of terrifying news, here's what this guy did today up on the stage, this politician did. So they set the frame for it to be terrifying. They're setting up your perception from the very beginning. And then if I change the context, in one context, yeah, maybe this politician's a bad guy. Another context is this person is a threat to democracy.
I've heard that phrase a lot.
A lot. And that means, and what do we do to threats to our entire democracy? We kill them. So we start radicalizing people instantly without them really even processing that they're internalizing that. We were radicalizing people just through that context. So if you can modify perception and context, you can give someone that permission, that final piece to do anything. Let's go back to the police officer in the hypnosis show. He had the permission to start firing his firearm because of the context of being attacked by someone with a weapon. So once the context shift, your social permission of what I'm allowed to do, like I don't strip down and get naked in my office, but I do when I'm standing in front of a hot shower. That is the permission to do things differently. So if you want someone to do something that they normally wouldn't do, the question you ask yourself is, in what context would the decision I need this person to make be an automatic thing? If we agreed on 10 different things out of 11, then the automatic thing would be for us to sign an agreement together.
Okay.
Or if I'm being shot at, the automatic thing for me is to draw my weapon and fire back. So it's an automatic behavior based that typically in another situation would violate social permissions. Like, I don't have social permission to behave in that way.